Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Studio 70. I'm Sharad.
And I'm Ezu, and today we got a good one. It is a
Welcome.
Who Did It. It's almost like the board game of Clue, but not
Yeah.
quite. Today we're just going to talk about suspects. You ready for this one, Shrock?
Yeah, I just want to let you know it's number 3.
It's number 3. This is another Morphew case episode. Let's get going. So before we get into it, Shrock, what do you have to
don't
say?
forget, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Do your own research and always be kind to everyone. We
Be
appreciate
kind
that.
to everyone. Unfortunately, there's I've seen a lot of true crime shows that are not as kind, but we interact with a lot of ones that are, and we try to keep it positive. So thank you so much.
And don't forget to share, subscribe, and comment.
We are,
awesome.
Yes, thank you so much, Rock, because we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as we can.
We got to do this.
And actually, we're very blessed because we've only started in January. It hasn't even been 2 months, and we're more than halfway there. But our goal is, we're going to give you a little teaser, but in honesty, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers like in the next month or two, like pretty soon, like say before the summer really kicks in, where we're going to go, Shrock?
We're going to Colorado.
We will, by knowing you guys want to subscribe and have interest and all that, getting your friends to subscribe, we will go to Colorado and we will cover 2 cases. We'll go to some areas for the Chris Watts and also this Morphew case. And in Morphew, we may do some looking around in some given areas, see if we can find that cell phone maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But anyhow, thank you guys so much for your continued support and being part of our family. We really appreciate it. And today, Shrock is Who Did It?
Who Did It and Ran.
Okay. And, you said it's number 3, right? I think it looks pretty suspicious if you ask me. But before we go into it further, let's show them our crime board because this is something unique that our channel does. Crime board is like our discussion as you guys as a family, as a crime family. Well, not crime family like mafia, No, we're talking about you guys in part of our family. Going through the case, we're not taking anything away from what the investigators in the case have done. We're trying to really go deep dive and try to peel off what has happened. So we'll mark on here what's fact, what is kind of like
community vote.
Community votes. What that means is we put out a questionnaire for you guys on that particular topic. So in this case, you guys agreed that that she was probably murdered on May 9th. And that she didn't even go on that bike ride. So those are the community votes. So that was based on your input, not ours.
Exactly.
So we build this as like I said, one big community. So this is something unique that we do, I think, only. And again, it's not to go against anything that the investigator does. We're just trying to put all the pieces together so we have full understanding. And based on logic and facts and our best ability, we can kind of piece the puzzle together.
Exactly.
And literally together, you guys together.
So let's do this.
So suspect list. The blue lines are Barry's blame game. So you could see he blamed a lot of people. This one. Sorry, I always hit my microphone. And the only one on here that Barry didn't really mention was the lover, which was Jeff. And we'll get into that because he was Suzanne's lover. And of course, investigators are going to take a look at that. So speaking of which, let's start with him first.
Yes.
So Jeff said that he learned that Suzanne went missing. He figured there was no way she was going to be alive. That was probably based on some of the conversations that obviously he had with her. He said he was not proud about coming forward, in the beginning because the reasons he gave to the agents is he had 6 kids. Excuse me, that's a lot of kids. And, he has a wife and possibly a job to lose. Now, he was a friend of Suzanne who was having an affair with her, as I mentioned. But you know what? He was really good. He basically gave consent forms for his DNA, all his phone records, his logins for social media.
Operated, yes.
He could, unlike, just to give a contrast to the opposite, Nicole Kessinger in the Chris Watts case, who deleted information and data and hid everything and gave things over, either by pulling on her or because she had no choice. This guy gave up everything. In fact, there was no DNA that was collected for any of the evidence that they found. And not to be spoiler, but they knew based on, location and other factors, he wasn't involved. I know I'm jumping ahead, but what could have his motive possibly been if we were to go with that theory?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if it was like, okay, if I can't have her, no one can. Again, that's a wild theory possibility. I couldn't think of anything else. So like, why would he possibly kill her? If anything, he would take out Barry instead of Suzanne. And a really cool thing I want to mention that's in the affidavit through that discussion with Jeff. I don't think many people know about this, so this may be some inside information. Is that back in high school days, I think this was like a year or two after high school, Barry was working at a golf course, and Jeff went there, I think, with his friends to go golfing. And before then, there was this party at a house. I forgot whose house it was. And Barry wasn't there, but Suzanne and Jeff were there. And I guess they got a little bit more familiar than friends. I'm not sure how far it went, but they basically called it like they hooked up in some way or the other. Yeah. Maybe not as serious as you're thinking, but they did something. And I guess Barry found out through the grapevine. So when he saw Jeff at the golf course, he went up to him and wanted to beat him up. But Jeff was like, hey, you're going to get fired. You're going to get in trouble. Yeah. You're going to lose everything. He was able to talk Barry down. That was the last time Jeff and Barry interacted. So just something interesting to know about that. Okay, so investigators prove he wasn't like really near the area. There's other information on this, but basically, make a long story short, Shrock, if you agree, I think we can rule him completely out of this whole discussion.
Process and elimination.
So the next is a contractor. Okay, so this contractor, his name is Cody Cox, as a suspect. He allegedly threatened to kill Barry. Wow. That's what Barry said. Take it with a grain of salt. Allegedly. So he worked with Barry in the landscape business. He did a job up in Broomfield between August and December. There were some issues with doing rework there. I'm trying not to, there's a lot to cover, so I'm trying not to get into all the weeds of that. But basically, there was some work that had to be done, and there was some myth between Cody and Barry. Cody was interviewed in May 14th. And, he mentioned, he wasn't happy about getting fired. And, there's things going around that he was going to get in a fight, Barry, but basically he said in an interview on May 22nd that he does not recall ever telling Puckett there's another person they wanted to beat up Barry. So there's a little bit of like back and forth in the interview. He could have been playing down his anger towards Barry, being, fired, not being happy. Yeah. There could have been something like that. But, again, what are the possible motives? Maybe you want to get back at Barry by hurting his wife, but it seems unlikely. It seems like he would go after Barry, not Suzanne. Like, why would he do that? I mean, it's not like this is a mafia hit or anything, or something like a drug lord that's going to, take out the whole family or something like that. So it seems unlikely, but he was upset. He tried to downplay that to investigators. Let's just say is a possibility he could have got upset, but it just seems very unlikely. I was really conservative on this one. I probably should just ruled him out completely, but I just put very unlikely, which is basically almost a not symbol, but I put it out there. So the next one is Suzanne's sister. So she had a sister and two brothers. So Barry said that Suzanne's family, the Mormons, were involved in marijuana and maybe they were responsible for her disappearance. He referred to Suzanne's sister, Melinda, as being wicked.
But what does marijuana has to do with?
I don't know. If you guys ever, go through and read some of the court documents as to verbatim what Barry says, it'll just, you may need to take marijuana to understand it. Exactly. I was just like, what? Okay. So Barry,
but maybe he was on marijuana when he.
I don't know, man. There's some kind of trip. I don't know what kind of, he's taking some kind of acid or some kind of trip. I don't know what he's on. But anyhow, he said he indicated Melinda as a suspect because maybe he didn't like her. It's obvious he didn't really like or care for her too much. Yes. So Melinda mentions that in an interview she had with authorities that Barry was abusive and that she didn't, really care for Barry. The abusive part was what she heard from Suzanne. She also mentioned that Suzanne had inherited $208,000 from her mother, another approximately $217,000 when her grandmother.
Wow.
From her grandmother, I should say, when her grandmother passed away. So, sorry, we'll muff there at the end. So basically, she's trying to imply that there's possibly a money motive with Barry. So possible motives: jealous of her sister, money. I don't know how the money would funnel back to her. Maybe if in her will she was left some money, okay, you could say that.
Yeah.
Again, I couldn't find anything in her interviews with authorities that would indicate she was a person of interest at any level. You could tell when you read through all the documentation, different court documentations, the interviews, you could tell how much the investigators are really interested in a person by the amount of information they talk about. Not necessarily, but it's just a little bit of a logical guide rule, basically.
Yeah.
So my in conclusion, that she was just indicated because Barry didn't like her. Said, "Oh, another person," and put it to divert attention to somebody else.
Yes.
So I just totally knocked her out. I just said, that's ridiculous.
Wow.
So next one, let's go on to the brother. Okay. So Barry described David as being smart enough to do something like this. He's brilliant. After suggesting that maybe Suzanne's siblings should be considered as alternate suspects. Now, I didn't include Andrew, the other brother, because he really wasn't mentioned. I didn't really see anything. I mean, Andrew and David, too, they were involved in a lot of the going out there trying to search. Yeah,
yes,
exactly. But he's the brother. And, Barry said more than David appeared to be pointing the finger at him and stated,
yes.
So I don't understand why they're doing that unless they're guilty. But sometimes people that are guilty say, hey, he did it. He did it. He did it.
Pointing fingers.
Yeah. So he's saying that about the brother and sister, that they're guilty because, sometimes people point fingers to other people. Did you guys not see all the people he pointed to? We'll get in that in a second. So that's really hypocritical, obviously.
Diversion.
So what's a possible motive? Same thing. Is it jealousy of his sister? Could it be money? Again, lack of authorities putting the interview on David, the affidavit indicates he wasn't a person of interest. I mean, same type of thing. Maybe Barry didn't like him that much or just wanted to point a finger at somebody else. But you could tell, through the affidavit, I mean, he was interviewed based on information, but it wasn't like a serious, he could have possibly something to do with this. So I counted him out. Boop.
Yes.
So let's talk about this drug dealer, because we hear about he's using their drugs. So Barry stated Timothy was a drug dealer who should be considered, I can talk today, a suspect in the disappearance of the death of Suzanne. Barry separately said that Suzanne was buying drugs off the street and cited the person from whom she was buying the drugs as a viable suspect for her disappearance. Now, in a lot of cases, that could be the case. You didn't pay for your drugs. Maybe you're dealing drugs. Who knows? Theoretically, I keep hitting this microphone.
Money.
You could do that.
Yeah.
But Tim, met Suzanne at a farmer's market truck, okay, in 2018. And she told him about her battle with cancer.
Yes.
And he provided 4 purchase orders for Barry and Suzanne from October 2018 through 2020 for hemp oil. So Suzanne interacted with Timothy about 5 or 6 times and never gave any indication that she was having us to be secretive about taking the oil around Barry, or that Barry disapproved of her taking the oil.
Right.
So guys, we're not, as far as we know, we're not talking about like cocaine or some kind of crazy drugs. Okay.
Exactly.
This is something to just
just to help with the cancer.
Yeah. Off the street.
Cancer could be difficult too. So.
I mean, what's the possible motives? Money, Suzanne. But Suzanne had money to pay for this stuff. Like, why would... It doesn't make any sense. Now, Barry disapproved of her taking the oil because of this. He may not have liked him just based on that topic. Maybe he didn't like the interaction that she was taking this oil and he considered it a drug. Who knows?
Yeah,
but based on the interview with authorities, there was no hint of concern of Tim being a real person of interest. If you read through it, you could tell they don't have. I'd even put very unlikely because... It really seemed very strong that he was really benign.
Process and elimination.
Boom, I wrote him out.
4 more.
Cleaning connection. Okay, the cleaning connection. Barry told the court that he planned to move into a former Airbnb at this Puma Path in Maysville, dubbed it the Cushman residence. So I had to mention that. So when you hear Cushman residence, you're thinking, what is this? What was this place? So Barry initially identified the Cushman's cleaning lady's daughter and boyfriend. Sorry, I had it reversed before. I said her son and girlfriend. Sorry, I stand corrected. her. The reason why I don't really remember, because this is so ridiculous, I don't try to remember. But when we get through it, so the daughter and the boyfriend as suspicious persons, and I've seen other. I didn't want to go too much what other shows have said, because I just go by what's in the documentation within an interview.
Exactly.
So I won't talk about that, because unless I can prove it or mention it from a document, reference it from a document, I'm not going to say anything.
Exactly.
So not sure why Barry mentioned them, other than maybe theoretically they had some type of opportunity because they were around, or maybe how they looked. I mean, maybe he was prejudiced in some way, or how maybe they behaved. He might just not like them for whatever, reason. And lastly, throughout again, the focus, away from him, basically. The affidavit doesn't get too detailed in some of the other documents.
Money with this one?
Yeah, I mean, could it be money? Like, oh yeah, when I say money, it's like because they're cleaning the house. Maybe they figured if they were to break into their other home where she was at, they could steal, belongings and money. That's what I mean. Could they have stole something and try to cover it up? Maybe they wanted she break into the house, and Suzanne was there, and they murdered her and took her away and stole some stuff. But obviously nothing was stolen. So
exactly,
what was that? There's no evidence that there's really a motive, and the lack of authorities putting in any interview, as far as I know. I couldn't see any interview in that, which I was surprised, but I didn't really see anything. If you guys correct me if wrong, if you're out there, you see something in the court, it has to be not what you've seen on Reddit or something, but actually one of the real documents. Let me know.
We definitely like to know where you get your source from. That'd be awesome.
Exactly. But the clean connection, forget about it. That's just...
You don't do hearsay.
No. Now it's your favorite. Now it's the one that Chirac is betting on, the animal.
Yes.
This mountain lion.
Just got to cut him open.
Barry said he thought a mountain lion dragged her off. Barry used the mountain lion idea 2 or 3 days before the theory changed, obviously, when they found the bike and found other information.
Well, maybe Barry's the mountain lion, could be.
And maybe dressed up. Maybe. I'm surprised he didn't say Bigfoot. That would have been, that would have been some, or aliens. What the heck? All this alien stuff. I think that would have been better than this one. It would have been a little bit more believable, right? So Barry called Morgan, said that Suzanne was missing, and he thought a mountain lion may have attacked her. Marcy, Barry's sister, called Kurt and told him that Suzanne was missing, that Suzanne was riding on her bike and a mountain lion got her because he was spreading it around. So that's interesting. So possible motives. Hey, the mountain lion was looking for a human Happy Meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just face it. Couldn't get to McDonald's, so we'll go next door. But according to the Mountain Lion Foundation, human encounters with mountain lions are rare, and the risk of an attack is infinitely small. Though mountain lions are strong, they typically can't carry a human. And if you get dragged, it'd be very short. And we already know that she was found miles and miles away in the bike helmet, where they were placed. We can really, sorry, Chirac, we can conclude that we can cancel this one out.
You think we would see a mountain lion if we're there when we go to Colorado?
We could. Actually, we could see a mountain lion in Connecticut. They've been seen here too once in a while.
But we might see the one that...
We could. Maybe we'll get dragged off. Nah, we'd have more aliens come. More likely to get the aliens or Bigfoot or something.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting there. Someone else. So we went through all the people, but maybe someone else. And why is it connected to Barry saying this? Because Barry said he thought Suzanne was abducted by someone. He explained that the last similar violent act occurred in that area happened in 1980. Okay. That's a long time ago. Barry said he should have listed the R word, I can't say the word, instead of sex on the questionnaire as a motivator for her disappearance, because he thought of some creep trying to R word her. I can't put the word here. You guys, I think, can figure that out. What? Oh, yeah, I'm not saying a word. Barry stated, because if someone went in and did something and took her and then ditched her bike and make it look like something, then I'd want the guys to find that evidence. So, he's pointing to someone. And I still think that last statement is he's saying what really happened, but because I won't say it. Yeah. I think you guys know what I'm going to say. So possible motives. Lust, they see somebody on the bike. Maybe they wanted her. I'm not going to get into the details of that. Maybe, sometimes we lived in a city. Chirac has lived in New York. I've lived in areas in Connecticut where it's more like a city. And, sometimes people kill people just to there's someone.
Well, you know,
They're-
there's serial killers out there, and that definitely
Mhm.
is a thing. So
Yeah, and the motive could be lost, or it could be just like sometimes in gangs and just in general,
yeah,
people
she was
just
a beautiful woman.
people like to. There's some people like to kill too, right? And or it could be an accident. I mean, is it possible she could have got hit and the person's like, oh, let me just scatter things around? I'm just throwing things out there. Again, these are when we get into very subjective things. We're just trying to figure out
Yeah.
what the possible motives could be. That's all. So the thoughts is this is a very, open possibility. So any of these motives could be possible. It could be.
Yeah.
Let's face it, any of those. It could be someone that she or Barry knew or a complete stranger. We have to keep this open as a distinct possibility. So Chirac, I'm putting this as a suspect because legitimately, I mean, as of what Barry's saying, if he didn't do it, then somebody else did.
Yes.
And let's get down to the final one, Barry. Barry stated sometimes when people are guilty, they point the finger because of their guilt. And I just did a hand slap because did you guys not see all those blue lines to everybody? He was the last person to see Suzanne alive.
Mm-hmm.
His driving patterns match up to the evidence that was left. His bizarre actions during those couple of days, like the trash and where he was, airplane mode, where all that stuff. The finger pointing to everyone else. If he said those people are guilty, when he just pointed to himself to be guilty, and just trying to cause confusion. Yeah. I mean, really, Jeff helped more than Barry did. I don't really see Barry, and I read through a lot of the information. I mean, he helped a little bit, but some of his help was just bizarre. It was just causing more confusion and more roadblocks, which seemed more purposeful.
Just kept saying that everything is fine. They had the most happiest. The marriage was great. But we know through the text messages, it wasn't.
And through her grievances, and there's other things that, and through the people she talked with, we know that's not the case. Now, possible motives could be, jealousy of her or the situation that she's having an affair. He found out the money. Yes. It could be control. It could be anger. It could be all these different things, combinations.
What about an accident? Too, could have been like he.
I should put accident there. I guess that would be part of anger. Maybe he got angry, hurt her. But you're right. It could be accident. That was another one I should have put on there. But it could be all these motives. Bottom line is that we know his stories consistently change. He wasn't really that helpful as he could have been or should have been with the investigation.
Exactly.
I didn't see him really go out with as much vigor as the brothers did to go try to find her. His actions were I think we all agree, whether you believe it's Barry or not. And we're not saying definitely yes or no either,
exactly.
Brother. We're just providing information.
He did do that video, like he was offering money.
He did. He did try. But we're just saying it's very suspicious activity. And obviously they wouldn't have brought him into court if they didn't feel like they had a strong circumstantial evidence for this. So we got to keep him as a suspect. So now it's up to you guys, the community, to go in and vote. So once we post this episode, there'll be a question out there. What do you think is the main suspect?
What do you think?
Barry, Cody, who is I'll put in parentheses when I post it, he's the contractor. Was it some form of animal? Was it a random act, meaning a complete stranger? Now, it could be anything. It could be like an accident or the lusts or whatever it was. Somebody who was just totally a stranger, knew nobody. Or was it somebody they know but has yet to be identified? And if two of these or three, if it's close in the voting, I'll put them, close together, and I'll put them in that box if you guys agree. If one really stands out, then I'm just going to mention the one. Because once you guys really decide what you think the main suspect is, what we'll do is we'll focus on more of the motives and some of the other aspects. But this is where we need your input so we can keep that crime board alive and kind of pull the pieces together. And it'll be good too, because down the road, if they, do bring in Barry or somebody else and they get this case really kind of go through, we could kind of compare against a crime board and see how we did.
It'd be awesome.
But all right. So that was it, Chirac. Any questions that you have that you want to mention?
Well, I want to also mention when people adding their comments, they can just add the Barry, or they can even go into details why they did. They think who did it, right? So that'd be awesome too. So that I would
Yeah,
like.
that'd be great. So in other words, what she's saying, and I think in the polling, there's a spot where you can put comments right there too. So you can say,
Exactly.
I vote for the animal. I'm making that up.
I know,
Because
exactly.
I feel that, yeah, mountain lions can do this, or what. I'm making it up. But you know what I'm saying? You guys got to put it in. That's a great idea. That's really good.
Yeah.
But there'll be more to come on this. We got a lot more to do, but this is a big one for us to walk through. So thank you for being patient for doing that. Those are all the ones I could find. If I did miss a suspect,
Yeah.
that is really like would be considered. If I missed something, also let me know. But I think those are the main ones. Obviously, when I say main, take away a grain of salt. I wanted to put all the ones that Barry mentioned because, to see the picture of that.
Yeah.
But until next time, we will have more of this case as well.
Exactly. Hopefully, one of them will be in Colorado.
Yeah, we can get there. Let's see. So if we go to Colorado, it would probably be September-ish. So if we can get to the 1,000 mark by
What will be the
like
weather
June,
in Colorado
it should be still pretty decent. I have to look it up. Colorado Springs is probably where we would kind of have our base set up and then go do day trips to the different areas.
Yeah.
I would say like
I don't like the cold.
maybe by the end of June, the latest, if we can get to that mark, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, we would have to actually know by June. I would think
Yeah.
it would be-
Yeah.
'cause
So
we
let's
have to
see.
get the tickets and all of that. Yeah.
So that'd be great. Well, thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Until next time, we'll have more of this.
7-0.